Bam. We're live. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Code Unlocked, the show where I try to give you... Fuck, I already forgot it. I don't have it written down. Whatever, we're rolling with it. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of Code Unlocked. This is episode 15, titled 75 Soft. Before we get into it, I want to say thanks for all the support. Thanks to you guys. Thanks for sharing the show, telling your friends, leaving ratings, 5 stars, leaving a review, tuning into the live show. It goes a long way. It means a lot. The nice words you guys tell me in person, send me messages, whatever it may be. I appreciate you guys. And you guys are the reason we're here. So if we keep that up, it'd be awesome. I appreciate you guys. Thanks again. First show in the new setup. If you're watching live, we have a new background, and I'm in a new room. We just finished moving. So this will be the new headquarters, the new battle station for all my gamers out there just listening. And so I've been a little MIA. I mean, I've been trying to do at least one show a week, and I'm a couple days behind that, but just because we're moving, so we're going to be back on track now. I actually have at least 2 shows this week. I'll have another one. Have Sam, the firefighter, had him on a couple weeks ago for, I think he was like episode 4 or 5. He'll be live with me on Wednesday night. We'll talk to him again and pick his brain on things and what's going on in his life, because that was the most popular episode, and I knew it was going to be because he's got a cool story. He's a good dude. So another show Wednesday, same time. But let's get into it tonight. 75 Soft. I had this show idea in mind because if you've done 75 Hard before, you've heard of 75 Hard, you know what it's like, right? And this episode isn't just going to be about doing 75 Hard and, you know, going through the program, things like that. That is going to be a portion of it, but it's also going to tie into everyday life and people in general. And I wanted to come on here and talk about it because every day we see people who lie to themselves, or they lie to the people around them, or they do both, right? I guess if they're lying to themselves, they're probably lying to the people around them. And it goes hand in hand with doing something like 75 Hard, right? If you've done 75 Hard before, you know what it's like. You know what these people look like. You see them. You've heard them. And they are lying to themselves when they are telling you that they've done 75 Hard, the actual program, right? They've followed the tasks. They've drank a gallon of water every day. They follow a diet that challenges themselves, and they don't just count their macros and not eat anything, because at the end of the day, if you don't eat anything and you have a cake, your cake is probably going to fit in your macros because that's all you ate for the day, right? They don't actually follow a diet that challenges themselves, that makes it hard. They don't do their 2 workouts outside. They do 1 workout or whatever it may be, right? They tell these people they do these things, but we know, if you've done 75 Hard, you know that we see right through that bullshit. And they know too. They're embarrassed, or I don't know, they have pride, whatever it is. They're insecure, and they don't want to admit that they fucked up and they failed the program, which would give the people around them more respect for them because they can admit their fuck up, right? I mean, easiest example I can give is quick shout out to Alex. I feel like I talk about him on every episode, but right, he went through 75 Hard multiple times this past year. Phase 1, phase 2. He was on phase 3 of the full Live Hard program. Most people don't continue past 75 Hard, which is fine, but he makes it through phase 1, phase 2, and then into phase 3. And if you've never made it past any of the phases or past 75 Hard, the phase 3, it's supposed to be a full year-long journey, or not a year-long, but you have to wait a year to redo it, and you can do it within a calendar year, or you do it within a calendar year. But if you fuck up, that's it. You don't just get to start over with phase 3. Like, you can start over with 75 Hard, right? But the whole challenge is if you fuck up one thing in phase 3, then you're done. You have to wait. And Alex makes it through, I don't know, 20-something days of phase 3. Fucks up. I think he didn't take his progress photo. Sorry if I'm wrong, Feeks. But he fucked up something, and then he quit, right? Or then that was the end of it. He could have easily just said, no one knows. No one's going to know if I didn't take my photo. And that applies to anything in 75 Hard. No one's going to know if you didn't do it. If your diet is shit, other than you're the one, you're going to have some self accountability, self responsibility. But he could have easily been like, nobody knows, no big deal, I'll continue on. But nope, he owned up that shit. He posted about failing it live on his story. He was very transparent about it, and everybody saw, right? And people can respect that for the honesty. People will always respect honesty, even if they fucking hate you. And if they don't want to admit it, whatever, that's on them. You can't not respect honesty. And that's the bottom line there. So, and that goes, fuck, I forgot where I was going with this, to be honest. I guess it goes hand in hand with the fact that people can easily lie about it, and that's where it was. And we see through that shit because we know what it's like when you've done it for real, right? So perfect example is to just own up to that shit and say, no, I fucked up, or no, I did it wrong, whatever it may be. And if you've done 75 hard, you know what it's like. You've been through the program, and you see through that stuff. You know the challenges that everybody faces when they go through it, and it's kind of like a bond that you create. And you can respect that person for going through it and being honest about it. And then, right, we talk about it. I've talked about it before. Actually, I've never talked about it before on the show, but anyone I've talked to about 75 hard, it's really popular now, which is fucking awesome. I think it's incredible what Andy's created. But first of all, it's not a challenge. I know he talks about that, but people always talk about this 75 hard challenge, this new lose weight in 30 days challenge, my 20-day ab challenge. It's not a challenge, it's a program, it's a lifestyle. And you see these people and they want to tailor it to be comfortable for them, and that defeats the whole purpose of it, right? And I want to say that it's okay to change it from 75 hard to 75 soft, and 75 soft could be anything from not 75 hard. Maybe you do everything, but you only work out once. Maybe you do everything, but you still drink alcohol. I don't know. Whatever you want it to be, that's fine. Change it. You're bettering yourself. You're working out. You're doing something that's going to take you forward in life. That's awesome. But you don't also get to say that you're doing 75 hard when you change it. You don't get to have it both ways, right? You're not actually doing it the way it is. So don't say I'm doing 75 hard. No, you're doing 75 soft, and that's awesome. But you don't get to say you're doing 75 hard. Okay. That's kind of all I'm going to talk about with 75 hard, at least on this episode. We can dive into that if you guys want me to kind of go into it. I've done it 3 times now. I've done phase 1 1.5 times. I went through phase 1 halfway, and then I remember Jess and Amy, a couple friends from the gym, were starting 75 hard. So I went through halfway, and I was like, well, they're going to start like the next day or the next week. Yeah, it was the next week. So I stopped, and then I started over. So I'm not just talking on my ass. I've done it before. And but that's kind of all I'll talk about here on that. But what this goes with, kind of why that ties into the show, is it doesn't just have to be with 75 hard. You don't have to do this program to see people not taking responsibility for their actions or not having integrity about the things that they're telling themselves and the things that they're telling other people. It's these lies because they're insecure. I talked about it already. Like, they're not confident, whatever it may be. And so they put on this fake persona, this mask, and they say, yeah, I worked out today, when really they walked outside for 3 minutes. And if that's their definition of working out, then I mean, okay, I guess they did, but that's not, I would say that's not most people's definition of any rational person's definition of working out, right? Or they're telling you they're on this crazy diet, or they haven't drank in a month. Whatever it is, they tell these lies because they are worried about what people are going to think about them when they don't just admit up to it. And again, it goes back to no matter what, you could hate someone, they could hate you. You can't not respect honesty, because honesty is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's challenging, especially when it's not something you want to admit, right? It used to be so hard for me to tell people that I was a fat piece of shit and that I've lost all this weight. Not hard to say I lost all this weight, because I think it's easy for me to talk about, but it was hard for it's still kind of like sensitive. It's not, no, that's not true. It's not actually sensitive, but it's kind of like maybe a tender topic at times. That makes me sound like a bitch. I don't know it's not tender. I'll talk about it all the time, but people will like openly call me fat, or like not call me fat, when they would say, oh, Cody, when you used to be fat, and it kind of like, just for like a split second, it like hurts for just like a sec, because they're like, fuck, they're calling me fat, or they say I used to be fat. when I know they wouldn't have said it back then because they didn't want to hurt my feelings. But then I come back to reality like, yeah, well, I mean, it's true. I was fat. So I appreciate them for being honest. Can't not respect the honesty, even if it hurt my feelings for a split second. And so it used to be hard for me to tell people that, or for them to say, yo, Code, you used to be fat, or look at that photo of you. You had so much weight on you back then. You looked like whatever it may be. It was hard for me to hear that. And sometimes it still can be. It's not hard per se, but it's like a reality check. Like, damn, this is what people thought about me. And that's what they could see back then. They just didn't say it because they were being kind or whatever. But I respect the honesty about it. So you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with everybody. And that's the only way you can grow. You have to be uncomfortable, right? You have to challenge yourself. You have to do things that you don't want to do. You have to be vulnerable at times. And that's the only way that you're going to change. It's the only way you're going to grow. That's the only way you're going to lose weight. Whatever it may be, whatever you're trying to do, you have to do these things for them or for it to actually work. So it's okay to be uncomfortable. It sucks. Sometimes you have to have uncomfortable conversations with yourself, with your spouse, with your friends, with your parents, with your kids. And they're not easy, right? And that's the whole point. But something is going to change from that uncomfortability and that situation. Being uncomfortable goes hand in hand with fitness and with diets and these things that sort of change your life, they'll change the way you feel, because nobody goes to the gym and does this hard shit and like is super comfortable with it all the time. There might be days you go in and you're comfortable with the moves, you're comfortable with the workout, whatever it may be, but nobody ever goes in every single day and is like, fuck yeah, that felt amazing. That was so comfortable. Right? Because if it was, like, nothing would happen. It's easy for you. And that means you're just in this same routine of doing the same thing. I guess if you're doing the same exact thing, but that, again, that's not where you're going to change. You're not going to grow. You're not going to get stronger. You're not going to lose weight. If you're just doing the same thing, you have to get uncomfortable. You have to change your routines. You have to hit different zones of heart rate. You have to lift different weights. You have to hit different stimuluses and workouts, right? You have to do these things that are not comfortable all the time. So, and you have to change your diet. You have to get uncomfortable with what you're going to eat in order to lose weight. So that's the little tie-in there. But moving forward, right, when you do see these people, we kind of just like put it in the back of our mind. We put it in the back pocket of like, yeah, I can see through this person's bullshit, but maybe I'm going to call them out on it. I guess it depends on how close you are to the person or how comfortable you are with the person, which I think is a good thing. Call these people out on it and, call me out on something. That way I can then change and grow from it. And I respect that. Again, it all goes back to respecting honesty. Be honest with that person. Tell them, hey, I don't believe you. Or I don't know what. It's all like case by case situation basis. But you need to make them aware that people see this. And that's how things are going to change. But a lot of times we just kind of put it in our back pocket. We keep it in the back of our mind. And we know that this person is lying. And we kind of use that as like, not ammo, but we keep it there, and we know that if they say something again, the next time we see them, we're probably like, well, he lied about this before. They lied about that thing before. I don't really believe them again. And it's just like, if somebody lies to you all the time, just about whatever, it doesn't have to be about like fitness or health or these things, you're not going to believe them when they're telling you the truth, right? It's like the boy who cried wolf over and over again. Oh, and then when it happens, when they actually are telling the truth, you don't believe them because they've just been lying for so long. So, and if this sounds like sounds like you've done this before, you're currently doing this, let's change that. It's time to get uncomfortable. It's time to make a change. Be honest with yourself. The first step to changing, whatever it may be, you have to have an uncomfortable conversation with yourself, and you have to look at yourself in the mirror and think, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Why am I lying about the things that I'm lying about? What's the reason? Because I'm insecure. I don't feel good about myself. I don't have the confidence. That's okay. I've been there before. Lied to myself all the time about shit. I would lie to myself about how unhealthy I was and how shitty I felt and how I wasn't fat, right? I would lie to myself about these things because I was insecure. I wasn't confident. But really, I fucking hated the way I looked. I hated how I felt. I had no confidence. I had nothing. I was depressed, unhealthy, overweight, and not having a good time. And it's kind of funny to talk about now because I could look back on myself and like I would think that I was happy because I put on this fake persona. I was lying to the people around me. I was lying to myself. If you saw me, you would think that like, oh, Cody, he's a happy guy. He's got a good personality and he's just happy with who he is. He's happy with the way he looks. He's happy with his weight. Couldn't be farther from the truth. Not at all. I fucking hated it. I hated looking at myself in the mirror every day. I hated putting on clothes. I hated going shopping for clothes. I think that's a common thing with people who don't like the way they look or feel. Like, is when you have to go shopping for clothes because, well, first of all, you have to buy a sizes that you don't want in your pants and shirts, anything, right? You're like, you tell yourself like, oh, I'm probably a medium, right? Because you're lying. And then you go and try on a medium. It's like, this fucking thing does not fit. Are you kidding? Tight as fuck. Your stomach's hanging out or pushing out the shirt, like not, right? So you tell yourself, oh, I'm a medium, just to lie to yourself. And then you try on a large, and it's like, okay, it fits a little better, but it's still kind of tight. And you try on an extra large or whatever your size may be. Maybe you're small. I don't know. You tell yourself that you're these sizes, and then you try on these clothes, and it fucking sucks. I hated shopping for clothes because of that reason, and also because I was only comfortable in like, I don't know, maybe 5 shirts total. And not only was I only comfortable in those shirts, I would wear a sweatshirt almost, I think I've talked about this before, but I would wear a sweatshirt almost every single day to sort of cover up my weight and how a shirt made me look because it would fit, but my stomach would hang out or my arms were fat or whatever it is. Like, so I'd wear a sweatshirt and it's so crazy. Like, because I'd wear a sweater. It's fucking July. It's 100 degrees outside, and I would pull my sleeves up, right? Because I'm hot as fuck. But I would just suffer through the heat other than pulling my sleeves up, because I would rather do that and be hot than be uncomfortable and let people see the way I looked or the way I saw myself. People may not have even thought that I was fat or whatever it may be. But I thought I was, or I knew I was, and I didn't like the way I looked, so I hid it, right? And so going back. It's okay to feel that way. I felt that way for a long time, but you have to make a change. And if this is your sign to make a change, take some accountability, look yourself in the mirror, whatever it may be. And I know it's hard, but you got to start somewhere. We've all started somewhere. Last week, I got a memory popped up from, was it 5 years? Yeah, 2018. It was 5 years ago. And it was a status that I posted on Facebook, and it was something like, down 10 pounds, I found my new happy place. And I remember posting that. And I lost 10 pounds from lifting weights and improving my lifestyle, not drinking as much, not eating as much fast food, just, in improving the way I lived. And I'm like, holy fuck, that's 5 years ago. Right? It's a journey. This shit's a lifestyle. You don't just lose weight and then that's it. Like, oh, boom. I don't have to do anything anymore. I don't have to go to the gym. I don't have to eat healthy. I don't have to watch what I do, right? You adapt this and it becomes part of your life. It's an everyday thing. And so, I mean, it's 5 years in the making for me. And I know some people have longer journeys, right? Some people have been doing this for 10 years, for 20 years, but some people have only been doing it for 3 months. Some people haven't even started yet. And that's the whole point of this, is to get you going if you haven't started, or to keep you going if you're in a rut. Just know that people have been there before you. I'm one of them. Tons of people done, not just me. A lot of people you see around you, excuse me, they have a story to where they used to be, where they're at now. And it didn't just kind of happen easily. For some, maybe it did, but I would say for most people, they started somewhere, and then they had to get to where they are now. And then, like, last thing on that, kind of just going off on this, is people will always tell me, like, when I tell them this story about myself, they're like, "Oh, you must have." Before I tell them this, they're like, "Dude, you probably have been so fit all your life, and you played sports, and were you?" People always ask me if I was a gymnast, which is kind of funny. Like, fuck, I wish I was, because how far I'd be now. But I guess it's just like, I don't know, the way I do decent at gymnastics. I'm still nowhere close to a gymnast, but they see me like do bar muscle ups or something, and I'm like, "Dude, were you a gymnast?" I'm like, "What the fuck? Far, not even close." But people have these false things that, like, I've always been fit, and that I've always been skinny, I've always been healthy, I've always, whatever, insert adjective for healthy person here. Couldn't be farther from the truth. And then I tell them this story that I've told you guys. I tell them my journey, and they're like, "Holy fuck," right? And I think that goes for a lot of people. Is not everyone is what you think they are or have been for their whole life. Some people, for sure. Some people have played sports since they were fucking 3, and they've always been athletic. They've never had to worry about being overweight or any of these things. But I guarantee you they have other insecurities, because we all do. They all have stories. They all have stuff that they're not comfortable with, or they had to get over being uncomfortable with. But it's easy to create these, like, false images and these false ideas of people, because it's the easy way to think that. Like, it's an easy out for you. I used to do the same thing, right? I used to look at someone and be like, "Damn, that person's fit. They're jacked. They've probably always done everything. They, like, it came easy for them, but it's hard for me." Like, just all these stupid excuses. But it was me just making excuses. They've fucking worked hard for their shit, and it's not just didn't just come easy for them. So I think that's it. That's kind of all I had on 75 hard, lying to yourself, 75 soft as I call it. Let's do a quick little recap. So again, everywhere we see it, every day, people are lying to themselves, and they're lying to the people around them. And it's okay, right? If they then change. Use this, if this is you, if this sounds like something you do, use this now to change that. Get uncomfortable. Take that first step, like I always say. And if not, well, we see it, and it is what it is, and they'll change when they want to change, or you'll change when you want to change. Okay. And then going along with, like, 75 hard, it's okay to do 75 soft. It's okay to do whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to do. But you don't also get to say that you're doing the program. Or it doesn't have to just be 75 hard. But you don't get to say you're doing something if you're not actually doing it. So don't do that. You don't get both ways. Okay? Again, be uncomfortable. Challenge yourself. That's where change happens. That's where growth happens. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to be challenged. Otherwise, nothing's going to change, and you're just going to be stuck in your rut. So, quick little recap. That's all I have for you guys tonight. Thanks so much for listening, as always. I appreciate all the support, like I said. If you don't mind dropping a 5-star review in the podcast app, wherever you're listening to this, leave me a like on YouTube, drop a comment. Share the show if you found value from this. Anything. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. We'll be back Wednesday night with Sam, the firefighter, with another fire episode, bringing the fire. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but we're going to talk about more of his journey. And actually, he has failed 75 hard. We had scheduled to do a show and to talk about his progress through 75 hard, and he texted me and he was like, "I failed 75 hard." And I was like, "Fucking A, dude, shit happens, but good on you for being honest." He could have just lied about it, right? He could have just, "Yeah, we'll talk about it. It's 30 days in." And little do we know, he actually isn't doing it anymore. So we'll talk to him on Wednesday night, same time. Have a great rest of your night, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.